Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming the star of all three Bad News Bears movies. He's a member of the team, of course, and I am talking about David Pollock, who played Rudi Stein in all three Bad News Bears movies. I'm having him on the show today to talk about all three of those movies, and he did some other things like Love American Style, American Hot Wax, the original Freaky Friday, and so forth, and I can't wait to have him on. It's the first day of April. March Madness was a great month on Splat from the Past, and now I can't wait because baseball season might be canceled during this time of quarantine, unfortunately, so this is the next best thing, as a matter of fact. And I can't wait. It's going to be pretty cool. So, here is my interview with David Pollock.
Hello.
Hey, David. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Thanks for making the time.
Absolutely. This is such a great honor. And with baseball season possibly being canceled, this is the next best thing.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of stuff being canceled.
Oh, boy. Yeah. It's a really strange time, isn't it?
Yeah, this is not something I ever expected to see.
I know. It's like part 9/11 and part reboot of that old show V.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy. So, going back in time, long before the Bad News Bears movies, did you gravitate toward acting early on?
I did. At the age of about 8 years old, I informed my parents that I really wanted to be an actor on TV, and they said, well, okay, then you need to go to acting school. So I enrolled at the Arcadia Children's Theater, and did that for a while, and eventually got an agent and started making television commercials. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the mainstay of my acting career. I did about 20 television commercials and another 10 TV shows. So by the time I was doing the Bad News Bears at 14, I had a pretty good acting resume under my belt. Mm-hmm.
What kind of commercials did you do?
Oh, let's see. I used to have a list of them. I don't know where that went to, but ones I know I did a few for Mattel Toys. Mm-hmm. Pizza Hut, I did one. Icy fruit drink. Shell No Pest Strip. Just the various different things.
Yeah, things that have become really big corporate entities now.
Oh, and some that you never hear of again. Like I did a commercial for King Vitamin cereal. Mm-hmm. Won't find that anymore.
Yeah. And were your parents in the industry?
My dad was a publicist, but that was as close as it got. Neither of them really were involved with my career. They had their own pursuits, so I often had to hire a set sitter to go with me to these jobs, so I had some adult supervision.
Did that work out for you?
Yeah, no, that worked out just fine. And, of course, as I got older, I didn't really want my parents to be supervising me, so that worked out great.
Yeah, that can be a plus. You're originally from Baltimore, but raised in L.A.?
Correct. Yeah, I was born in Baltimore, Maryland. By the time I was 6 years old, we were living in DeWarty in California. My mother was from California originally. My father was from the East Coast.
Nice. I see in your early credits, you did a Cy Howard movie with Victor Mature and Lynn Redgrave called Every Little Crook and Nanny.
Yeah, that was the first motion picture I appeared in. We filmed that at MGM. And I found a video clip of that somewhere. It would be hilarious. I actually have the movie poster for that hanging in my garage, believe it or not. Wow. Yeah, very obscure film that nobody ever heard of.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I mean, I never saw it, but what a cast. Also, John Astin, Dom DeLuise, Austin Pendleton, Pat Morita, Phil Foster, Pat Harrington, Severin Darden. I mean, that's comedy royalty right there.
Oh, it was. I can't say I got to work with all of them. I only worked a day on that as a piano student, but yeah, that was quite a film.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's amazing. And then you did an episode of Love American Style.
I did. The episode was called "Love in the Unsteady Steady," and I paired up with Brandon Cruz in that. And Brandon had just finished his stint as Eddie in The Courtship of Eddie's Father. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, of course. I remember the movie more, with Glenn Ford and Ron Howard, but I remember there was a TV show, too, of it.
There was. And Brandon was such a cute young kid. But by the time we did the Love American Style, he was starting to become the wild child, and then we got a chance to work again on the Bad News Bears.
Nice. And also, Christy McNichol was in that episode?
Yes. I didn't really know who Christy was at the time, but actually I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, I met her at a convention back in February. She is such a lovely lady. I enjoyed meeting her.
Yeah, I can't say that I remember her from that, but yeah, it was, the child acting circuit was a fairly small circle, so you kind of ran across the same people all sorts of times.
Yeah, it's amazing how small it was, and everybody knew everybody back then in Hollywood. I mean, now, there's so many people there and stuff, but, there's a small chance that, it may be small again after this quarantine is over.
Oh, yeah, exactly. This is devastating, the movie industry.
Mm-hmm. But how does the Bad News Bears come into your life?
Well, it was an interview like other interviews. I was asked to come interview on the back lot of Paramount Studios. They were conducting a nationwide casting call, so they were going around to all sorts of different places, and that's why you have some interesting accents in the movie, like Chris Barnes, who was from New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
It was. They had me throw a ball and prove that I was a bad pitcher, and they were looking for a Jewish-looking kid with zit glasses and couldn't throw a ball. I was a typecast.
Was it most of the kids on the team Jewish?
No, a couple were, but no, most of them were not. I know Brett Marks and his family were Jewish. I got to know them quite well.
Yeah. Did you play Little League before that?
I actually did when I was younger. I think I played for one season out in right field and was never very good at it, so went on to other things.
Mm-hmm. But you were familiar with the game, of course, and you didn't mind playing that role.
Oh no, not at all.
Did you know anybody on the team previously?
The only person I'd worked with before was Brandon Cruz, and we did that Love American Style. But other than that, they were all new to me, and I'd say about half the cast were completely new to acting. They were not professional actors. They just fit the roles that they were looking for.
Mm-hmm. Did you all become pretty close? Did you all become pretty close, David?
I'm sorry there. I think I lost you there for a second.
Oh.
I wouldn't say that we were particularly close.
Mm-hmm.
We've tried getting together. I mean, we've all stayed in touch over the years, and we've tried doing a reunion now and again. The largest one, I think, was around 2000 when TV Guide did a feature article about where are they now, and they managed to get about 6 of us together for a group shot.
Nice. You all must have been in awe of Walter Matthau in this movie because he was one of the greats.
Well, at that age, I've learned to to be in awe of Walter just for who he is. But going into the movie, I didn't particularly know who he was or what his background was.
Mm-hmm. Tatum O'Neal, she was coming off of winning an Oscar for Paper Moon. How was she on that movie?
Tatum was pretty much to herself.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jackie and Brandon got to know her better, but the rest of us were kind of in our own world. We all had our own, separate dressing rooms, so we would go off to that. I actually I got to know Tatum's dad better than Tatum because he was around the set frequently.
Yeah, because to me, her winning the Oscar for that movie and that character she plays, it seems like everything was intertwined. That after winning the Oscar, that maybe she got an ego and it came out in that character that she plays, in the movie. But that's just a theory of mine.
Yeah, but she is a very talented actress. To win an Oscar at that young an age, and I thought she played the part beautifully in The Bad News Bears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she did a great job in that movie, playing that tough kind of tomboy chick. How was Vic Morrow?
Well, Vic Morrow was interesting. So Vic always played the bad guy in movies.
Right.
The sergeant in combat, and of course he was playing the arch nemesis in this movie too. But in real life, he was the sweetest, kindest, most lovable person you'd ever want to meet. He just looks mean, but his personality wasn't that at all.
Yeah, this character he plays pretty scary. He's got that mustache and that gap in his teeth. And he's just a different character than he had played before, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he was great for that role too. I mean, they really did a great job of casting the movie. There was definitely a chemistry with the cast. Walter worked well with the kids, and we worked well together, and it just all kind of gelled. And that's what was the secret sauce of the movie, was just you have to have that chemistry among the cast, and it doesn't always happen.
Yeah, and another great actor, of course, George Weiner. He was in the first and the third, the Japan movie. Was he great to work with?
Yeah, well, he only worked for a couple of days, so I didn't get to know him that well. But yeah, no, he's a funny guy. I like George.
Yeah, he's really funny. Bill Lancaster wrote the movie. Did his father visit the set?
Yeah, Burke was frequently on the set. Yeah, I just remember him as having this big burly beard that he, big white beard. And he was pretty quiet to himself, but he was hanging around observing. Of course, he was very proud of what his son had accomplished.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, yeah, he was one of the greats too. Yeah, I'm one of the few people who actually likes the sequels more than the original. I really love In Breaking Training. That was actually the first one I saw. What was it like making that one?
Well, that was fun too. So the chemistry we had from the first movie mostly carried over to the second movie, and it turned out that Bill Devane was just a terrific guy to work with, and he did really well working with kids. And so that made that movie fun. Plus, we got to travel, to Texas and film on location, and that was a fun movie.
Yeah, do you think maybe the movie wasn't as successful as the first because it kind of gave the kids a darker edge, by the fact that they stole this vehicle and they went out on their own?
Right, exactly. It was a loss of innocence at that point. But we were also getting older. I remember I was starting to shave about then, and still trying to look like a Little League player.
Yeah. Were you the oldest one of the bunch?
Yeah, Jackie, Haley, and I were the oldest. Jackie and I think are a couple months apart.
Oh, wow. Yeah, in those days, the kids who were like 15, 16, they could pass for 12 or 13 in those days. Some of them still can nowadays too, but it's very rare. Yeah, William Devane is pretty good in the movie. Also, the character actor Clifton James, he's great too.
Oh yeah, he's hilarious.
Yeah. There's some great moments in Breaking Training. I love it when you guys stop to pick up that hippie chick and she's like, no, and then walks away.
Yeah, she's a great lady. I've stayed in touch with her off and on over the years too. I think she lives up in Central California now.
Really? Did she stay in the industry?
No. She went off and did different things. She was a flight attendant for a while, and I'm not quite sure what she's doing these days.
I see. Yeah, or when Engelberg has to go to the bathroom and they stop so he can go in the bushes.
Oh, yeah. That was a funny scene.
I personally think that Jeffree Star was a much funnier Engelberg than the first kid. Did he? I heard he became a minister or something.
I've heard that too. I really haven't been in touch with Jeff that often. He was from Anna, Illinois, and of course that was a big deal in Anna, Illinois when he was about to be in this big movie. Yeah, I'm more in touch with Barry Cabanero, who was the original Engelberg.
Mm-hmm.
In Texas.
Oh, he lives in Texas.
Yeah.
To me, Chris Barnes was the funniest as Tanner Boyle. He's always running his mouth.
Oh yeah, no, Chris was he was a great character, and again that was true acting. I mean, he's not wasn't that really that kind of a kid that he portrayed, but he just portrayed it very well. And he was from New Jersey, so you heard a little bit of a New Jersey accent in his voice.
Yeah, why wasn't he in the Japan one?
They couldn't come to terms. I think that the role was always a little bit difficult for Chris because he came from a pretty devout family.
Mm-hmm.
So they were troubled by some of the lines that he had to speak, and by the Japan movie, they were making demands in the contract that the production just didn't want to live with, and quite honestly, if you had to miss one of the three movies, that one was the one to miss.
Yeah, I think this was one of the first movies too where young kids were swearing like that, and then of course by the 80s there was a whole mess of them, like the Goonies and the Monster Squad.
Yeah, we were ahead of our time, and the racial epithets that he had to throw out there too. I mean, that was you can imagine the eyebrows that raised back then. It would be even more so today.
Yeah. Oh, think about the things he would have said in the one where you guys go to Japan,
Right. Oh, yeah. I can only imagine.
Yeah. And of course, Brett Marks, who we talked about before, he was Gummo Marx's grandson. And there's a moment in the movie that makes me laugh every time where one of the opposing team members says, "This kid plays like he's one of the Marx brothers."
I know, exactly. The connection to the Marx family, though, I think is an urban legend. So far as I know, Brett was not related to any of the Marx brothers.
Huh, that's interesting. Scott Baio's cousin Jimmy played the lousy pitcher Razzani. How was he?
Oh, Jimmy was a hoot. He was a great actor, and he played that role really well too. So, and he got to travel with us to Texas.
Mm-hmm. He was he was like that character in a way.
He was, and he was also doing really well. He had a show called Mary Hartman that the TV series, and I remember we all went and watched him film that one day because that was also on Paramount.
Yeah, I talked to Greg Malavy about that show. Yeah, I remember that show. I also love that theme song in Breaking Training. Looking good for you and me.
I know. They even had the cast singing at the end there. That was my first time actually singing for a movie.
Wow, I did not know that. Wow, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, I've always remembered that song from the first time I saw the movie, and it's been 30 years now.
Yeah, that was really, I was kind of impressed when I first heard that. I thought, wow, they wrote that for this movie. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, I like some moments in the Japan one, but what was that experience like overall?
Well, like I told you, there was originally good chemistry when we filmed the first movie that kind of carried over to the second movie. But by the time we were in Japan, we've lost it. I mean, Tony Curtis was not good working with kids, and the director John Barry was particularly bad at working with kids. So it was a very tense situation. And in fact, at one point, the pet moms actually pulled the kids at one point because they thought that it was getting to be kind of verbally abusive.
Oh.
And so we had a bit of a crisis. So it was no surprise at all when the movie came out that it just didn't compare to the other two movies.
That is unfortunate. Yeah. I have a friend, she was a stand-in on the movie, Terry Bolo, and she told me that Tony Curtis called her a derogatory sexual term. He called her spinner, and at the time, she was in her 20s. She was young. She was, offended. She was offended by that. But now, in hindsight, with all the stuff that's come out since the Me Too movement happened, she always says, Tony Curtis can call me anything he wants. He is a dreamboat.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. That was pretty funny. But yeah, when I watch the movie, I do sense that there was an awkwardness between Tony Curtis and you guys. I do think, though, he had pretty good chemistry with the kid who plays Aaron Blunt's little brother, though.
Oh, yeah, Scooty Thornton, yeah.
Yeah. Their scenes together are sweet and funny, and Tony kind of exudes a W.C. Fields quality of like, go away, little kid, you're bothering me.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that was good though. Yeah, there's that scene where Tony's wrestling that huge Japanese guy, and then the kid comes to his rescue. He like jumps on top of the guy and hurts his groin.
Oh, yeah. That was fun. We actually filmed that in the U.S. I think that was at the sports arena in L.A.
Yeah, that's a great scene. I also love when they do when they go to the karaoke bar and that Japanese boy and girl are singing "Happy Days."
Oh, yeah. I'll have to go back and watch that movie. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, there's some great moments in that. But so overall, who are all the Bears that you still talk to?
Well, let's see. I see Bet Marks fairly often because I was always close to his family, and he and I live, I don't know, maybe 20 miles apart. I still talk to Jackie Haley probably about once a year or so.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness, I guess the closest I've been to is Gary Cavaniero in Texas and Aaron Blunt. Aaron, Gary, and I will occasionally go do an autograph show. So we'll spend a couple of days together.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. I reached out to Aaron on Facebook. Hopefully I'll hear from him this year. But that's good that you still talk to Jackie, even though his career has, blown up huge in the last decade or so.
Oh, yeah. No, I was really excited when he was nominated for an Academy Award. Told him to let me know when he's in L.A. and we're going to get together for lunch. And it never seems to actually happen, but we're still in touch.
Oh, he doesn't live in L.A.
And I talk to Alfred Lutter every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm also still in touch with Walter's son, Charlie. And I don't know if you're aware of this. In the original movie, Charlie had a cameo in the movie. There's a scene where Jackie Earle Haley's character is told to catch all the balls, and headline the rest of the team. And Tanner's coming in, and one of the opposing kids going out the field says, "Hey Tanner, does he go to the bathroom for you too?" that was actually Charlie Mathau.
Oh, okay. Wow, I didn't know that. I have to go back and watch it. But that's a good anecdote. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that line, though, too.
Yeah, and if you watch it again and you look at him, you'll realize, he looks a lot like his dad.
Yeah. I remember I saw him in something before, though, but yeah, he did look like him. Did you like the short-lived TV series with Corey Feldman and Billy Jacoby?
To be honest, I never saw an episode, and it didn't last very long. So I really don't have an opinion of that.
Yeah, I
do have an opinion of the remake of the movie with Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah.
And I've always said that was more of a sequel to Bad Santa than a remake of the Bad News Bears.
Yeah, I so agree. Yeah, I was just like, why they do it like this? Of course, Billy Bob Thornton's a name, and they're just cashing in on that movie, but I just didn't think that was necessary. I personally never saw the TV series. I didn't even know it existed until the internet and stuff. But I see pictures from it on the internet and stuff. But it probably wasn't good. Who knows?
Yeah, it didn't last very long. They couldn't, and again, it's really hard to recreate the chemistry that made the first movie special.
Absolutely. You were also in the original Freaky Friday.
I was. I only worked in that movie for a couple of days. I played one of Jodie Foster's bratty classmates, and my big notoriety there was dumping a bucket of confetti on Jodie.
Did you get to talk to her though?
No, Jodie was pretty much to herself. She not only had her own trailer, but her own classroom on the set.
Mm-hmm.
She was very, very serious about her studies, but there really wasn't a whole lot of time to socialize with Jodie.
Yeah, coming off a Taxi Driver, she probably fell into that Tatum mode as well.
Yeah, I think so. She had a very busy life, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. And then you played a fan in American Hot Wax.
Yeah, wasn't that something? And again, that was a movie that I only worked on for a day or two, and they actually gave me a duckbill haircut for that movie, and I thought, really? I'm working here for a couple of days and you totally messed up my hair?
Yeah, that had Jay Leno, Fran Drescher, Melanie Chardoff, and Tim McIntyre. What a tragedy that was. He was so underrated.
Oh, I agree. And nobody had heard of Jay Leno back then either.
Yeah. Yeah, Tim McIntyre. Oh, my God. Yeah, his parents, of course, were John McIntyre and Jeanette Nolan from The Virginian. I just interviewed James Drury, the Virginian. I didn't get to ask about her, though. But, yeah, that was a tragedy right there. And his parents were still alive when he passed, too.
Yeah, I know. That was very sad.
It was really sad. So you decided to leave acting once you turned 18?
Well, yeah. I mean, the last thing I ever did, I think I was 17 years old, and I had a bit role in The Incredible Shrinking Woman with Lily Tomlin.
Oh.
I wasn't actually in the movie. I was only in the preview to the movie, and they had me walking across the soundstage as a stage manager, I suppose. And I had a clipboard and a walkie-talkie, and they, I'm passing an elephant and all these other things in the movie. And as I get closer, I start leaning down, and there's a little dollhouse with a star on the door, and I knock on the door and say, 5 minutes, Ms. Tomlin. And that was my last thing that I ever did. But the reason I got out of acting was, well, first of all, when you get to be 16, 17 years old, 18-year-olds can play your part, and they don't have the same child labor law restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
California, when you're working in show business, they can only work you 4 hours a day. And you have to be in school for 3 hours, and you have to have an hour of rest. So a lot of production need a lot more time with their actors than that. So, it was tough getting roles back then. I also knew that transitioning from a child actor to an adult actor would be almost like starting over again.
Yeah.
And I'd been in the business long enough. It was fun when I lived with my parents. I didn't have any overhead.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to depend on living, it wouldn't be as fun anymore.
Yeah.
So I had an interest in other things. So I actually took my acting money that I'd saved up and I started taking flying lessons. I became a flight instructor and I thought I'd be an airline pilot for a while.
Mm-hmm. So you became an airline pilot?
I did not. No, as it turns out, that was not a practical idea either. First, the airlines weren't hiring back then. It was the early 1980s, and the people they were hiring were ex-military pilots. And plus, my eyesight is correctable, but they wanted to hire people that didn't start wearing glasses when they were young. So that was a problem. But it led me to other things. I ended up working on the ground at LAX, servicing airplanes, and eventually got a full-time job with an airline called Flying Tigers, which at the time was the world's largest air cargo airline. So I started scheduling airplanes and managing them, making sure they got maintained and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So even though we got this crazy quarantine going on and stuff, what are you up to these days?
Well, fortunately for me, most of what I do, I can do remotely. I do some consulting work, which is mostly a weekly conference call that I participate on. I'm on the city council here, and we've figured out how to conduct our council meetings through video conferencing. So I'm able to do that from home. It's amazing how much you can do remotely. And I think if there's one silver lining to all this in the end, I think a lot of companies will discover that if they were hesitant to allow people to work from home, I think they'll be less so now because they realize that it can work.
Mm-hmm. Oh, one thing I forgot to ask about the Bad News Bears movies. Before filming began, did you guys practice for months and months?
We did not practice for months and months. We did some practicing, just to get us to work as a team. But again, we're supposed to be bad baseball players, so they didn't want us to get too good. But yeah, there was a little bit of practicing. They even brought in a pitching coach for me at one point, and I remember practicing my pitching in the back lot of Paramount to just so that I showed some improvement as the movie went on.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I know that when they did A League of Their Own, they started practicing in April, and they started shooting in August or September. So that's why I was curious about that, though.
Oh yeah, no, we didn't. I think we only had about less than a week of rehearsal, and then our film schedule was about another 10 weeks.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool, though. That's an extraordinary thing that you got to be a part of that trilogy, David. And I thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, absolutely, my pleasure, and I'll look forward to hearing the podcast.
Absolutely, yes. Let's connect on Facebook, and I'll tag you in it.
Awesome, I'd appreciate that.
Yes. Well, you have yourself a great day, sir, and please stay safe.
My pleasure. You do the same.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Well, there you have it. David Pollock. Ain't he a cool dude? Wow, God. Back then, Hollywood was so much different, but he got to live through a great part of it. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, add me as a friend on Facebook, join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes. Looking good for you and me.